Hola BBs, welcome to part 2 of my immigration update. If you haven't watched last week's video, go ahead and click that one first because, well, this is part 2. I don't think I need to explain further. So in this video, I'm going to be chatting a little bit about the difficulties that I've had through the past 5 months because it has been a long waiting period. To say that I handled that with grace, I don't know. From my point of view, I don't feel like I've shared a ton about this experience, and I guess it's because a lot of it is super mental. This entire thing has been just a marathon for my mental health. I just feel so happy and #blessed that I am on the other side of it. So for the last 4 years or so, I've been in just a gigantic limbo of immigration problems. Through these problems, I've had to justify myself a lot. Justify myself to strangers that I'm worthy, and living day in and day out of having to just prove your existence is exhausting. It also takes a really big hit on your confidence, and that is something that I've noticed through the past couple of months. I was brought up by strong women. I am who I am because of them. They raised me to believe in myself, and at no point in my life was I ever taught or believed that I couldn't do something because of who I was, because I was a woman, because I was not American, because whatever it may be. I was taught that the world was at my fingertips. I had a pretty brutal reality check when I basically realized that that wasn't entirely true for me. I think slowly but steadily having to prove myself constantly and being denied basic things because of where I was born or my status really became integrated with how I thought of myself. I am now a job seeker during this time, and it's proving to be extra difficult because once again, I'm in a position to prove to a stranger that I'm worthy of the position, of their time, of a chance, of an interview, and it's a lot. When I received news that I got my visa, I definitely was easy on myself. I was gentle with myself. I didn't have this gigantic pressure suddenly be all right, now you need to go get a job. That's the first thing on the docket, all you need to focus on. And I do want to acknowledge the privilege in that. Me and my boyfriend being secure enough in my ability to take a couple more months without working. I can't even express to you how lucky that is. Just pure. So the fact that I have that financial support and also the emotional support, because my boyfriend was the first person to remind me that I have been living in a world and a bubble of uncertainty for so long that it's okay to basically take this time a little bit easy and kind of ease into this new idea of I do have the ability to work. I do have finally the ability to say I can go get a job doing whatever I want, and finally coming to terms with working hard will finally get you somewhere. When my reality was I was still being held back. I still couldn't advance past a certain point, no matter how hard I worked. While I'm not having so much pressure on myself, I am applying to jobs here and there. I am networking a little bit, doing what I can, what I feel comfortable, and I also have gotten a few rejections already. And because my confidence is already so fragile, it's definitely harder to bounce back from that kind of stuff right now. I think I've said before, I've actually been unemployed for more than a year, and so that in itself is also really difficult to kind of mentally work through. And if anyone is going through right now, I know you feel me, reminding yourself that you are more than a job. You are more than a salary. You are more than your output into the world. But we get so in our heads about our worth is tied to productivity. It's tied to our job. It's tied to our salary. And It's not true. It's just not true. One thing I can say, honestly, hopefully other people can relate, is having a job is not going to like bring me happiness. Like, sure, it's going to bring some sense of security that in my mind, I definitely tie security to having a job and an income. But having a job isn't just going to fix, my trauma and the emotional fatigue that I've been feeling. Let me tell you, the emotional fatigue is real. In the past few months, I've basically numbed myself. It has absolutely been like a defense mechanism where I don't allow myself to put too much weight on one outcome or the other. We're not going high or going low here. So while I was waiting for my visa, for weeks and months, I wasn't thinking like, I'm gonna get it, everything's gonna be great, everything's gonna work out. I also wasn't thinking like, you're not gonna get it, figure out your escape plan. I was just unbothered. I feel like I just thought it was the best and like safest place to be in my head. But boy, was that not true at all. It honestly like really with my head. When I got the news of my visa, like I said, I've had this like overwhelming feeling of relief, but I also like pretty immediately had an overwhelming feeling that something bad was gonna happen. It truly was hard for me to almost like accept that something good happened to me. I realized that I've internalized the thought and the idea that good things don't happen to me. I'm more accustomed to bad things happening to me. That is almost like my natural, I wouldn't say like happy place, but definitely comfortable space. I'm cautious all the time of good things happening to me. That's like not a good and healthy way to live for anyone. It literally like sucks out the good of any situation. So it's hard. It's hard. I don't want this video to be like too heavy, but like I've stated before, this stuff needs to be talked about. My experience through the immigration system is complex, it is heavy, but it's also shared by so many people in better situations than I am and worse situations than I am. And I think in general, this stuff is just not talked about, and I think it should be. I hope that I'm bringing some sense of awareness to it, and in my mind, these types of feelings that stem from immigration trauma, I do feel like can relate to other people. Whatever situation you may be, maybe you can relate to these types of feelings, and that in itself helps destigmatize mental health and mental health problems. And it needs to be a good reminder that your mental health matters, and sharing that you're not okay is okay. So that's what these videos are all about. And although obviously this stuff is heavy, for the first time in a really, really long time, I feel happy. And that's what I want to leave you with. And I'm sharing that today, and I'm reminding you that joy should be celebrated, especially as people of color, as a woman of color. Joy is a radical act. Bye, babies.